2 is coming up here in our grand finals of America's Kickoff, and honestly, a chance as well for G2 to kind of shed as well that map 1 off their backs. It's they've had time to talk it through. They've had time to think about what exactly went wrong in that first map. A lot of it being just not quite hitting, confidence-driven, but the proactivity from Sentinels is off the charts. It's a different team that we're seeing here today.
It is, but G2 need to be anticipating those kind of plays. There were plenty of moments where SEN were going for something, and G2 should have anticipated it. They are clever enough, they understand the meta well enough to be able to know SEN are going to re-clear it this time. SEN are going to stop us from trying to take Heaven control. These kind of elements. And the G2 players were, first of all, not anticipating things as well as we've seen from them, and secondly, not winning their duels when it mattered too. So we're going to be seeing same kind of compositions. It's what you expect from these teams. But what's important, I think, when you take a look at the way that these are stacking up against each other, John on the Taeho has plenty of opportunities to deal with Leaf's chamber. Leaf is going to find it not only tough to keep his trip alive, keep his teleport alive, and be able to find value, but he must find value. He looked like the best player in Americas over the course of Kickoff. Even better than Aspas, who is breaking kill records, I would say. Leaf was still having more impact, reading the game perfectly, dominating opponents, and he needs it here.
Yeah.
If they want that trophy.
It's got to rear its head. It's all well and good, listen, but nobody's quite hitting for G2. And we need to see that step up, not just across the board, but on an individual basis as well.
I suppose the cope would be we hadn't seen them play Split, so maybe they were always bad at Split.
Yeah,
but we
sure.
have seen them play Pearl. And we know that while both of these squads are good, SEN at times have found it quite difficult to hold on, although admittedly, I would say mostly on their defense side.
The wall spotted out early just from that drone. Seconds up close. Clones will lead the charge. He's up and over as well on top of it. There's going to be Thorns. Salvos, stuns offloaded. Everything collapsing and colliding into these players. And there's a full separation onto the site. There's just Sentinels left to look in dismay as they were dismantled.
SEN's attacking rounds, when they do these B execs, have a couple of different options, and a lot of it comes down to where they want to put Zekken. Do they want to flash through the smoke in case there's somebody playing a tight crossfire right next to the smoke? Do you want to try to send Zekken with a teleport into back halls and take a fight against someone like Valen who's going to be anchoring there? You will see SEN rotate between these options based on what they think G2 are doing. In this round, G2 went for a refight off the back of Jonah P's flash. Worked magnificently.
No plan down for SEN either, so full control on the eco for them over towards A main. As we mentioned prior on Split, a lot of priority being placed in just trying to earn up these ults, especially that dimensional drift. You're going up against double Sentinel. It's going to be one of the only ways you can break through and try and increase the tempo, play a bit faster.
Trent's one of those players where he's going to be using the drone to re-clear through A main a ton. And so it is important from a macro sense that SEN push him back at the start of the round and force out that drone re-clear early, where they could still be re-hitting. I think so far so good from John's IGLing. And it looks like this B setup's going to be tested again. Once more, Valen in backside. What's the option with Zekken? Yeah, this time going for the Halls dive.
Yeah. So we'll see it. It's a TP. It's a flash. Almost perfect, but anti-flash, or at least a dodge from Valen is quick. And Jonah P is happy to add that extra level of reinforcements once more to spike. Drop down to the middle of nowhere. It's an impossibility for John at this point. And Jonah P's going to step up. One needs the kills, but he'll be happy as well, just dying. His team can make sure to salvage some of that weaponry.
So far, Jonah P and Valen have held onto the B site admirably. And 6 kills for Jonah. As you said, puts him 1 away from that Steel Garden. Bonus round for G2 coming up. And Valen did a great job of being able to hold on to this. Is he going to be able to do the same when Zekken has a rifle in hand?
Spike down B.
John's calling for some A main control at the start of this as we get back into the 3rd round here. This is the anti-bonus for Sentinels, looking to try to push Trent back. And the Vice setup has swapped.
It's a hell of a amount of damage early off the rip. As you said, the Vice setup has swapped around. We'll see if that expectation is in the back of the minds of these SEN players.
What a wall.
They're going to be full speed ahead. Second TP'd already. In that default spot. And there's slipping his way in through the back. This is a nice play indeed. Still Drop down, almost single digits, going to be regenerating back up and alive. G2 trying to opt into the retake, making sure that they hold on to control towards the back, and Art be able to put the squeeze down onto these Sentinels players, especially with Zek in this low. Flash through and around, cuts up to the corner. Narray not expecting it, still off to the side. The players are lining themselves up now, ready for the taking. It's a 2v2 at that, slipping around to the corners, 1v1. Bang versus Leaf. Sees his players, the position's noted. Bang out wide, Henter missing. Rattling, the leg fired off. And it's a right click that does it.
Leaf on the board, and G2 with the round win. It's not pretty at the end there, but Leaf is using his movement quite well to bait out shots from Bang and secure the damage. Not necessarily the clean headhunter one tap that we've seen from him earlier on, but he got the job done. This was G2 thriving in the chaos. Jorg finding his timing, just wandering into backside, willing to take a risk in that spot.
You doctor, oh my.
Let's put the pressure now immediately onto Sentinels here. Once more with the economy.
Yeah, I actually thought that was a bonus round from... sorry, of course, it's a bonus round from G2. It's broken the SEN economy, though, completely, hasn't it?
It's going to be flourishing in terms of that money, but so that ult earned all that prior work that was being put down by Sentinels, so Zek can clear the way. Earn a bit of a path, potentially, for a win. And a threat there. Oh, and he's going for it, man. I mean, that's just a clone into the face as well. Leaf was knife out there. I think Zekin just expected that he could potentially get that timing with the Bucky, but...
It's one of those awkward situations where you turn around a corner and bump into somebody and he's thrown their handbag all over the floor. He wasn't expecting to see someone.
I respect the play. I really do. At that, hold on. Jogamo's gone down. Where was he going? He was all the way into their spawn. 1 second, excuse me, but...
Yeah,
I mean, well, same for Jorg.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the crosses on the map, and I'm like, wait a second.
The Yorus have swapped positions and died in enemy spawns.
I've got X-ray, and my brain's being turned into a pretzel. It's like, well, how do these players feel?
Well, we're going to end up seeing Sentinels group up to try to make something happen on B. Thorns popped. John was loving calling these splits through B-Link before, sending 3-4 players in.
What? My goodness!
Completely catching Trent. Trent not normally going to go for that mid-rotate. That was dangerous.
And the deep wall as well, critically. Peace of mind in terms of no one stepping over the line, but Jonah goes up and over the top of it because time was really getting quite short. Zelta's doing his job and doing it well. Full defense across the board, making sure that every position is accounted for and the gun's being picked up as well. Inside the smoke, there's no stepping forwards into that. The domain of Bang. Now, Thrifty went exactly what the doctor ordered.
G2 got completely flummoxed there, and I got to admit, so did I. I mean, look at... This is how we open the round. Then Jorgamo throws his life away in a 5v4 advantage situation.
What happened with Jorg?
And G2 getting caught on the rotate.
Boys, good job.
Maybe trying to deny info away from the Vice wall. They just got completely caught out by giving the whole middle of the map to SEN.
And you'd think that, you know, wouldn't really be as much of a problem for G2 running this double Sentinel comp. A lot of mid-round information that they can have to work with here, but this thing is in the hands of a few of these G2 players. They've got a lot to try and push back now. There's a ton of util waiting, but an Armageddon at the back feet. Time being taken, knives out, just trying to evacuate and clears the way. SEN, variety of thorns as well. Percolate. Wow. Slows down the approach.
This is a big investment from Jorgamo.
He's committing it. Dimensional drift, despite the weaponry not being too good, cuts it up into the corner to Rico Star. And our players ready to meet their match. Up close here is Jonah P. Not enough to spray it down. Just collapsing onto the players. The attempt by G2 with that retake. And Leaf is late to the party. Late to the party indeed. Second round now. Earned up.
A really questionable decision by G2 to even be investing the ult in the first place. And then Jorg throwing good money after bad. Feels like because he's popped the ult, he's got to find a pick out the back of it. And was hoping that he could find a timing as the plant was going down, and it looked like there wasn't too much support on site. A weird one, a wild one. But G2 are now going to have weapons back.
Let's go!
And technically, G2 are still in the lead, but these last couple of rounds are not looking good. Leaf now with an operator, looking to take a pick through mid.
Horns is gonna force him to respect that line nice and early, but the expectation is there, not quite. Sen. Zekken, who just walks straight back into that line of side angle. Leaf reposted TP's back as well. There's a bit of a skirmish occurring here as well. Bullets fired off. A main being contested. A Prowler just to make sure you can clear out that trip. It's been a problem. And they're going to play a slower game and a slower round. That's the Phantom in hands, and Bang doesn't push his way back and away from this angle, anticipating the re-peek.
Double missed shots there from Leaf and a really difficult shot to hit the second one.
And these players are just toppling, man. This is G2's defense getting picked to pieces. Tapestry just unraveling before our eyes and leaves it just to the three of them. Valin has to go re-exploring, but dangerous spot to do it as well. 3
G2 players whiffing on defensive lines here to open up the map completely for Sentinels.
There's no polite way to say it, but listen, maybe Trent can be that savior.
Oh, he's got it.
Collecting that, hello! Anticipating the recross as well. He's made it more winnable. It's 2v2 now.
They saw Bang earlier on in A main, so Jonah is being very thorough with the clearance here through mid.
There's the potential for the timing as well. Go wrong for Sentinels, but Jonah P onto that angle. Bang somehow wins that fight out. Steps it up. Cosmic Divide going to be hard committed. And Trent just cannot get onto the timing fast enough. Even when things start to go a little bit wrong, the clutch potential shows up maybe for G2. It doesn't matter. Discipline, coordination, zero hesitation from these SEN players, and a timeout has been forced out of G2.
Josh RT has got to get in the ear of the G2 players right now because they're not playing up to scratch. If they want a chance of being able to lift a trophy, you've got to be seeing better stuff out of them than this. Trent does admirably in this spot. I mean, no qualms with what he's doing here. But to lose Jorgamo and then Valin both taking those fights over towards B-Link, without it being some big set take. I mean, it was just Narrate poking his nose in, wondering if he could get a free fight. And he did. And 3 kills to boot.
Yeah.
Leaf as well in spots where he would usually be dominating. Yes, he got the opener against Zekken, but then he got shoved off the A line by, again, just a solo player of Bang.
It's insane.
Exploring.
I mean, listen, if there's one word to describe this series so far, it's just disrespect.
Yes,
SEN are taking liberties, man. Bang, like you mentioned, he solo lurks through A. Plenty of opportunities for G2 to coordinate a double peek together to clear it. Player back side, Leaf going for the never swing, but it's all individual.
It is. I mean, I think they were trying to hope that Bang would be focused on the player backside when Leaf took his timing with the operator. But the Sentinels players have got great awareness today and confidence. They're not getting scared to take fights. And I think that helps when you've just blasted G2 13-4 on map 1. You feel confident. You don't get shook. You don't get pushed off angles as easily. It is a Sentinels today that has found their footing and believes in themselves that turned up onto the stage. And that's what Kaplan's been looking for, waiting for.
Return to some of the top peaks in form that have been showcased. It's a blind, and you hear the drone as well. Has to be respect on either side here. So G2, it was a very forward approach.
It's a nice idea, actually, from G2. You focus on Leaf, Leaf teleports away, and then actually he was baiting all along for Jorgamo. But Sen cleared it with a flash and a drone. Really good awareness from Sen to defuse that trap. And now you look at the A side, it is theirs for the taking.
Yeah. Well, that heavy emphasis with bodies of G2, making sure that they can hold down B long. They've got very little in terms of the way of information.
In theory, coming into this game, G2 more time to prep, VODs to watch. You're thinking that G2 should be the ones coming out with the ante, but Sen have had such great awareness of what G2's tricks are.
Look at this from Sentinels, man. You're up against Stingers, and yet you're still opting in to the close quarters fight as well. Just ripping them to shreds! It's relentless. They're not stepping back. Not giving G2 even a chance for a weakness that they can potentially capitalize off, and an ace. Possibilities opened up. Zekken could go for it, flash into the face. They know that Leaf's up onto the site, and he's lurking, creeping, crawling behind. There's a Prowler to deal with every single angle.
They're giving it to
slowly closing in.
Staring at each other. The way that this round has ended and the way that it played out, I think showcased the difference in mentality between these two teams today as well. Sen are confident, loose. In fact, arguably a bit overconfident in these spots. Every time they've been up against a G2 eco, they actually push forwards, take the aggro, take the risk. That can be dangerous. It can cause you to get ecoed and lose your momentum, but it is consistently catching G2 off guard because it's not what they're expecting.
No, the expected play is what G2 live and breathe. And the high-risk, high-reward plays are just working out over and over and over again. And SEN are hitting like this.
Tejo drone completely cleared B long. I mean, utterly cleared B long. So they're not worried about the operator being there. They know that it's somewhere around mid, but Narray believes in his haunt maybe a little too much. Although that was going towards Art. Maybe just getting in position for a Prowler.
First kill for G2. It's been a while. So they potentially had that first kill advantage. It's a 5v4 now that they're not going to want to let slip when the momentum has been on the side of Sentinels for the last few rounds. Here, Dimensional Drift now, committed. Zekken turns himself his way towards it. He's going to be picking out these players' positions, and he knows exactly where they are. Flash, just to make it awkward, just to make it tricky. Salvos, and again, pushed forwards. It's out of the frying pan into the fire. And Trem will attempt to return it. Does drop Zekken.
Bang
Flash,
is very alone.
Quite dodge. Bang is super alone right now. Sidestep towards it. Backup arriving. G2 doing damage, weakened it up. John QT's having a sidestep this with a Hunter's Fury up in his face. Cosmic Divide. And John QT ahead of it. Thorns buying that space, buying that timing. Dart broken and dealt with. Cuts it up close here. It's going to come down to the gunfights. And the discipline of G2 needs to reign supreme. They can't take these individuality. And they do it. It's a high-low setup and swinging right through and just not set up for that refight. Not with the wall in your face, not with the thorns at your feet, just kind of working against him there. So G2, they answer back, they get that fourth, they're going to make it even in this map.
A better round. SEN there taking risks. Not quite managing to pay off. They were looking for this aggression from Bang to deliver results. And instead, it's one where it flies back in their face and SEN end up looking a little separated. Leaf picks up the operator again. Swapping things around, a deeper trademark placement. Normally sitting that one a little more passively. This time pushing it up so that SEN can't explode with Vice Ultimate in an A-split.
Leaf. He's got a rendezvous just set in towards the back of Link.
He's looking for Narrate again, basically.
Yeah, potential to go for the peak, but he did that last round, so he doesn't want to be too predictable. Needs to mix it up. SEN, though, all eyes towards mid, taking our control. Prowler spots it out, so they know exactly where that operator is going to be lying. Good tag, Zekken. So they want to try and take this fight. Looks likely they're going to be using Util on top of it and leave. He's just cycling through the weaponry.
Yeah, he was worried about that split coming through Art, through mid, and around behind him. Pushing Trent completely out through water there made Leaf's position look bad. Now Jorg is the last hope for G2. He's got a weird spot here in A main.
He has to dominate this fight. If he wins this one out, means that A main is not going to be safe for him, and so he does win it out. So Bang, drop. No more smokes as well to play around, but we'll see if SEN have the protocols to try and re-clear this one, but Dimensional Drift is earned up, so Jorgemon can get out back to safety. Spots him out. 2 through main. Doesn't know where the last is, but Zelsis is a common position to play indeed. They've been watching the VODs. They're going to know he's around. Time dwindling, though. It's running short. The longer they take, the more stall that SEN are going to be operating off of. Jorgemon, he's left with his head on a swivel. He knows that there's that potential for the reflank, but you can already hear it ticking away with the spike in hand. Gunplay in order. And shots need to be fired. Bodies need to topple. G2 need to really win this one out. Defend that defuse that's really coming through. And Valin, his confidence fully into the rest of his team. They stick it out and they take the lead.
G2 are starting to find their rhythm here. These rounds resemble much more what was happening in G2 SEN the first time we saw these two teams play. On Pearl as well. Jorgemon dominating A main. SEN struggling with it a little. For example, with Bang getting caught. And the positioning in the post plant is very predictable. As you said, Zelsis is always going to be over towards Art.
Bro, these kids are playing so scrimmy, bro.
That's actually such a great comment, though, from Leaf, because it shows what we're talking about. They are taking risks where you wouldn't normally expect them to. But that point of view from Leaf might be one of the reasons, and listen, no disrespect to Leaf, he's been amazing, but he has been on a lot of teams that have choked their opportunities before in the past. Not just with G2, but also in the past with his Cloud9 teams. They've been known to drop out of playoff moments. And I think maybe some of that is not necessarily because G2 freeze up in important games, but because they're not willing to go for the play, to take the risk, to make the big moment in the spot where it matters most.
Yeah, expecting almost like a gentleman's agreement. Going to play a fair, honest game of Valorant.
Or maybe
no
just
funny business.
Expecting the opponent to be scared of losing.
Right.
Because that's what makes the difference between a match and a scrim. In a scrim, who cares if you lose it?
Oh.
People are running it down.
If you're losing, you're learning.
Right, but in a match, it actually does have weight. It has importance, and so people don't normally take risks that are going to devastate you if they don't work. And SEN here today are throwing caution to the wind, realizing they gotta go and make the play and play together.
The experience of having the wins in the past, something to draw on from prior experience. I mean, Sentinels have it. Most of these players, if not all of them, know what it's like to win. Leaf being defended here. A lot of the util needs to be committed. Okay. Clone's going to be taking a bullet for a second, not slowing down in the slightest. Wants to try and take these angles back and away from them, but TP backs. Trying to set themselves up into a potential art split. In through A.
Trent going for the drone.
Armageddon. He's going to clear out most of the way into pit, but it pours and it pushes the players in forwards into it. That's a deep flash. Jorgamo wanted to take the fight straight to them, but players are ready for it. Even out on a flash was just slightly off.
I think he got caught in the smoke.
Yeah. Didn't quite get the value he was looking for here. Still, it's going to be darts and util ricocheting outwards. Finally dropped and dealt with. TP's on top of it. Everybody playing back and away now. SEN getting themselves into that post. And he's just using the salvos here to start. Recall. John lucky to cross and lucky to keep his life intact. There's bullets flying down on top of him. Nightfall, not quite. That's going to be the steel guard.
That's going to help with the retake. They need the guns.
Almost certainly. Pushed back, just a pull. It's going to be minus time for them. Still, fight needs to be 1 out second. He's the one with the rifle swinging wide and around. And Sentinels maintain control and that composure, even when G2 were happy to lay down the ults, happy to lay down that pressure.
Zekken dodged it too, didn't he? Managed to dip out in A main and came back still with the Phantom in hand. But composure's a great word because G2 lost it there. That's a solo play from Jorgamo. He wasn't synced with Trent. Whether that's a comms issue, whether that's Jorg being too aggro, Trent being too passive, hard to say from the outside. But the flash didn't catch properly and it wasn't coordinated. G2 on another eco. 5-5, but SEN very likely to be the winners of this half.
Money just rolling for them. It's an eco push from G2 out towards mid. They're not shying away, making it known that they've taken that control, just rattling off the bullets, which the rate's going to be able to hit.
Haven't really seen any classic huge impact from Leaf pushing out on defense.
Out towards the B site. Got a dimensional drift forward as well. Double step up over towards the wall. Not sure if that was just not commed in order, but still SEN are going to get easy and open access to this B site. There's no one holding to try and anchor. It's a retake flash that's planted. Up onto the high ground by Jonah P, but they don't have the weaponry even to try and go for it.
Full offsite play from SEN. Relying on their util, relying on the better spam. Not caring about the smokes that are available from Valen.
It's fast from G2. Regain control towards backside, back halls. They know that there's going to be players. Corral pushed up into the corner. Leaf's going to be spotting at least a few of them. And, oh no, revealed and spammed down. Box, not a sufficient defense. And the rifles, as we said, happy to play into it here for Sentinels. They know they've got the util. And with that firepower advantage, it's just inevitability.
That B execute is one that was allowing G2 a couple of rounds at the beginning of this half. We saw them run it in round 1 and round 3, I believe. Or maybe round 1 and 2. And G2 easily held it with Valen and Jonah P. This time SEN choose an anti-eco round to run it, where G2 are more likely to be stacked over towards A, over towards mid. John using that conditioning to find a bit of a free round. G2 would need to win this one just to tie things up here.
Here's a fast take out towards A. There's no pushback from G2, just a few shock darts.
The reaction, though, from mid, Leaf, Jorg walking up.
All the way out. Back spotted just onto the shoulder. He's going to have to B-hop his way to safety and leave. This is disrespect. Fighting fire with fire. It's The thorn in the sides for G2 consistently, but look at the awareness!
Yeah, they got the read. I was just saying we hadn't seen Leaf pushing on defense very much. And there, the one round he does it, hearing both Bang and Zelsis run towards the rest of the team in A main, gets caught. At the same time, though, G2 have full knowledge that everyone on SEN is in that position. So now you see John, Bang, very cautious, extremely diligent reclear through mid, through spawn. Wondering if there could be another nipping at their heels. And Jonah, he's thinking about it, but at the moment he's just playing to contain and playing for sound, hoping he can hear them if they rotate back to B.
Yeah.
And it's allowing G2 to keep this triple stack on the A site. Danger not fully averted here through John's calling.
SEN going to be setting themselves up. There's no time for a pivot either. We're down to 30 seconds, roughly, when his hit might come through, but they're calling for contact. It's quiet. All for Sentinels, and they're hoping that somebody just opens themselves up, but that's going to be the call made. Forwards pressing the advantage that potentially they've got, but it is chaos all across the site. And Jorgamo, make sure to step into that smoke.
Fight on the flank.
Yeah, and this is going to be still with 12 seconds remaining. Jonah P, he's taking out Bang.
10 seconds left.
Zelsis left in that impossible scenario. He's jumping around, he's leaping around. Util out into his hands, wins out the fight,
Doesn't
but no
have
time. Yeah, it's just ran short. And so 6-6.
Ending the half with a bit of a whimper, but G2 will be so much happier about their performance there. It's still not what we've seen from them thus far in kickoff, but more resistance shown. More rounds in this half than they got in the whole of SEN, the whole of Split, sorry. SEN is still looking sharp, though.
That was the better half than we had last time.
Yeah,
exactly what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying.
Smiles on their faces, and G2 has got to be the long con when you're looking at the best of fives. Now, Riv is standing by currently with two struggling streamers in desperate need of some subs. Can we get any tier 3, potentially some primes?
We are back here in the streamer booth, and I'm joined again by Tarek, and this time Masayoshi. A little bit better of a game here, Masa. I'm going to come to you first. Yeah. How are you feeling about the game? How's SEN looking so far? What do you think the outcome's going to be?
Dude, they're looking collective. They're like one unit right now. Honestly, I think we're going to have a great BO5 on our hands. Yeah.
All right, Tarek, talk to me about what Zelsis is kind of making you feel right now. This guy is just popping off.
Oh, he's giving me feelings that I haven't felt in a long time. Honestly, I'm proud of him more than anything. I don't know what he's changed up in his game or his routine, but he's just really sharp right now, and it's impressive because he always shows up when the pressure's on. So big shout out to Zelsis. He's that guy, so round of applause for him.
And Masa, maybe your first time, I'm not sure, I can't remember, but are you enjoying it? How's the venue been? What's it been like?
Dude, it's been amazing. The energy's great. From both sides of the team, loving it. Yeah, it's a great time.
Heck yeah. Tarek, yesterday I talked to Rob for a moment, and I just want to kind of get some clearance on this. You also said you may not come today, but you still came today, and things seem to be going all right. You know, is that aura not there? Are the planets aligning for you now? What's going on?
Yeah, I don't think I'm a jinx. That's the problem, and that might be the problem, actually. No, but it's the grand finals, and we've already qualified for Bangkok, and I wanted to be here to support the team, so that's why I came out. But I'm praying that they can keep up this form, so let's see it. Are
you going to be going to Bangkok?
I will be at Bangkok. I will be. Yeah, so
he's going to be.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Masayoshi. Any last words?
Go SEN.
There it is. Go SEN. Let's go right back to the casters and see what they have to say about the game.
It's so tragic what we're going to be doing to Masayoshi after this.
Any last words?
Caught on camera there. Yeah.
Riv's about to execute him off camera. All right, 6-6 going into it here. I'm really glad that Tarek's brought up Zelsis as a focal point, because in the previous game that we were watching of G2 playing against SEN on Pearl, Zelsis was that weak point. He was actually getting abused playing this B-Link position. But yeah, I don't know if he ate his Weetabix or if he's been taking the cold showers or whatever it is to get ready for this game, but we'll let Tarek do the investigative journalism on that, and for us, just witness the difference.
Stepping forwards, hold on. Only the one reveal. Shock darts to try and push these players back, but they are caught into the corner, G2. That's an emergency evacuation with the Thorns to try and help it.
The reaction over towards B, though. Realizing that A main is pushed, B should be weak.
Last catches, that's information. Zelsis deading that one off, but still the committal into the site, G2. You can hear it now, the rumble of the footsteps. John QT, get the salvos primed, but it's not something you can really use off of just the sound cue to try and deny the plan. They're a bit too slow for that.
Activity in the post plan, good to see from G2. They got red last time by Sentinels on split.
It's all about catching that player right there, so Zelsis taking out this lane position. lot of control for G2, and the flashes are beautiful on that. They're meeting them pound for pound with these pistols in hand. Shark Dart's rebounding. Cacophony of util. And John is left to pick up those pieces, see if he can forge a path to victory into this pistol, but he knows he's got a lot to do and a lot to account for. Leaf making sure that he holds down, lays claim to that angle. And G2 with a pistol, so up to 7. It's a narrow lead at that, but they're going to want to keep it going.
The early pressure from SEN through A main almost got a kill, I want to say. But Valen made the right call to try to react into B, and then that post-plant aggression. It's all about anticipating it. On split,
Nice, boys.
SEN had exactly the read on where G2 were going to go. They knew every time, okay, if they're going A, they're going to plant for heaven. We need to be stopping them from doing that. This time it looked like Zelsis got caught out a little bit in that spot. Not quite expecting G2 to go re-exploring B-Link.
Salvos onto the Ang. I mean, Leaf, only danger of losing the Ghost here, but just looking to try and contain, because again, the game plan hasn't changed for Sentinels when they're on these ecos, but it does open up the entirety of the A site, so we're going to be looking at a pretty standard round.
Yeah. It's very difficult to push mid against G2's composition. You can see Leaf playing around his own Vice wall there, but he also puts the trademark on the opposite side too, so if you're pushing on defense through mid, you can't really go anywhere without giving away exactly what you're up to. So SEN, I think, are going to have to be playing really clean retake style or early fighting towards A and B main.
Maybe able to cook up a kill or two. These players are hyper pushed up and pressured into the corners here, but, well, with that many bodies and a weaponry differential, it's almost inevitable.
Usually, you're going to see teams trying to die to Spike in that spot so that they don't feed the ults.
Celsius, he's desperate for one, man.
And look, they have fed the ults.
Yeah.
Jorg and Jonah P are getting pretty close, and those are probably your two best ultimates for winning attack side rounds. Jorg is only one away. So do Sentinels now want to fight for an ult orb? Do they think, all right, Jorg is probably going to be fighting for A main ult orb. Should we set up a trap play over there? You can't fight for them both. So there's a little bit of a risk, a gamble involved.
And one or the
What
other.
the decision is.
Yeah.
Does look like they want to brawl in A main though.
The stars are already laid down.
Jorgamo not necessarily with them.
Now they're going to see that early util being used. In fact, Jorg's making his way over towards Dart and mid. Ping's being sent. It's going to be deep Dart and a clone on top of it. Taking control of the middle of the map, and that's going to be putting a bit of confusion. Adding some question marks to the backs of the minds of these SEN players, wondering where these players could be from G2. It's a deep TP. It's going straight into the side as well, and Jorgamo might be looking for a cheeky kill, so John is quite aware of it, but ran down in the end.
A main though.
Yeah, they're not having control of this one. Meister will cut to the corner, and this could be the difference. The playmaker, he's got to worry about being pressured on multiple fronts, but just backs himself, and if he plays his life, the longer and the more winnable it gets for Sentinels. G2, got to be really worried about this one, just missing these timings. 2 outlaw bullets, no fruition, and getting a move on, a tap and a plant, and they're backing away straight to mid, but Bang knows all at this point.
Can
Gets the
Zelsis
read.
get there in time? If Zelsis runs, they'll hear him and they'll know where to anticipate him, so he's got to take the slower timing, which probably allows Valen the plant.
30 seconds left.
Zelsis is going to be deading those thorns, but all deaded. G2 not giving up the site though, everybody grouped up towards it, and that flash drops down, but G2, it's not quite made for the retake there. Bang's forced to just save, scurry away the rifle for a rainy day, which is going to be next round.
G2 baited out the wall in that position, and it kind of makes it think like G2 are trying to play off-site, and some of them might have been split up,
Yeah.
and instead all 3 of them are just crouched in front of the wall, waiting to punish Zelsis. This round definitely got tricky. G2 are leaving it completely up to Trent with his drone and with his recon to try to clear A main alone, which means he has to play so safe. And this round, they actually ended up clearing A main by going through Art, through the site, and then back into A main, backwards on themselves.
Yeah.
So, awkward, and it might give SEN the idea that fighting for A main actually is the right choice.
Not going to get much easier though for Sentinels at this point, because bonus round conversion of G2.
Yeah, G2 are fully back into this.
And a dimensional drift for Jorgamo to play with.
You do not want to allow G2 an opportunity to feel like they're back in the game. You caught them off at the beginning. You hit them with a big punch. They were reeling. They didn't look like their mental was in it either. And now SEN have let off the pressure a little.
This respect being showcased. I mean, you can see it. Weaker weapons by SEN, but still offloaded towards these ultimates, and a lot of emphasis being placed. They've got to win out this A main fight as well. There's flashes at their feet, and the TP is forced out. So they've cleared out A main. No worries here for G2, but players getting a bit of a move on. Sentinels looking to try and see if they can shore up the defense over towards A, but it's pulled them away, and they've lost information across the map at the same time.
One of the things that John was doing so well on defense split was recognizing when G2 were going for fast hits and full gamble rotating. So G2 ended up getting red. I think again here they were expecting Jorg's Yoru ult to be the signal for a fast A execute. And now they're forced to go and re-explore and look for info.
I do like these moves being made. Drone even just spotted as well, Valen, so they're still stacking players over towards A.
They've got a nice timing though. Narrate, he just used a haunt to clear B long. G2 have heard that, seen that, now they can just walk up, knowing that SEN are pretty much relying on util to get info here rather than bodies and guns.
Celtics did hear footsteps though, so now they can start the mass migration. Jorgamo's the one with the plan. Place down, salvos. Oh my goodness, he is in a very tight spot. It's in a rock and a hard place. Some might say still his team is willing to bail him out. Making sure they've got that gunplay happening, working. There's only 12 seconds left, and you've got to try and stick this at some point here to seize. Hard committed, and the gun's quite, they're just not there for SEN. They can't try and play fast and loose into this one, but maybe Zelta's from behind.
With the SEN bundle.
But they're aware of it. They spot him out as the rifles making sure they've got that swift dismissal. Full side control. They know exactly where John is and where he's going to be trying to play towards. It's 10-6. G2, more than a string of rounds.
If there were guns online in this round, I think SEN would have made that very dangerous if not been able to take it. But G2 were allowed the opportunity to play slow, play scrappy, because any of these long-range fights are just destined to go the way of G2 with their rifles. Kaplan's called a tactical timeout. He wants to reassess what's going on. They've lost 4 rounds at the beginning here of Pearl. It's actually quite early to go for attack timeout. I know it's 10-6, and if G2 start getting more and more rounds on the board, it could almost be game over, but you haven't even really seen a rifle round here. So there's not too much tactically to discuss. There's a little bit, though. One of the things might be to focus pretty heavy on A main control. You could try to tuck Zekken into that spot. One of the things might be to avoid areas where Jonah P can get value out of the Vice ultimate, because that's something G2 are surely going to be using in round 17 here.
And I think as well, all the more likely as well, it's just the fact that SEN need to win this. They are scraping the bottom of the barrel with their buy. Their money and economy is going to be plummeting if they end up losing this one, despite the loser's advantage or loser's bonus that they have just from losing the rounds. 4 in a row so far. G2, if they win this one, they're going to be punching SEN down. For SEN, it is that must-win. Like you said, it's not too much in terms of tactics, because it's only been just really the one rifle round being played, but Cap could call a little bit of a set play, maybe see if they can get an early advantage. It's one thing you can do on the backside of this.
I mean, I think the adjustment, just looking at the minimap here for Sentinels, is going to be to have Zekken set up early with Astra and Teho utility to lock down B long. Look here, he's got 30 seconds off the back of this gate crash to play aggressive B long, and then he's got another one, so a minute on the clock where he can lock down B alone.
G2 are making moves.
He's going to be under pressure here, because this is a B split.
It is. No one's really going to try and watch his back in. Forced to go back into a defensive position. He's postured away from the angle. G2 have lane control through main. So Steel Gardner's going to be getting a ton of useful, not just information. I mean, Zekken's just pushed out into the open. Perfect timing with the peek from Leaf.
They knew it left a little gap there, and he covered it with the AWP. It's so good from G2.
The plant down on top of it.
Halls is about to get annihilated with Teho util.
And here it is. Salvos. You pushed G2 forwards, but they're backing away. They're saving.
They're saving! 4v5 on B, allowing G2 to get up to 11 in that spot. I mean, we very rarely see big saves like this. Yeah. The strat worked perfectly for G2 coming out of this. We've got enough time with the save to watch it all in slow-mo. G2 are not even thinking about going hunting for guns yet. They're like, all right, now surely the retake's coming through at some point, right? This is...
It's a really hard spot the center have just been pushed into because of what we were talking about during the timeout. Because of how important the guns are.
Yeah, their economy is in tatters. It's, what, your chances of winning a 4v5 retake in a spot like that, probably about 20%, maybe less.
Yeah.
So, yeah, probably less, probably more like 15 if you're looking at the numbers. So, it's the percentage play. But this match so far has been defined by SEN taking those risks and being rewarded for it. And now you're giving the game to G2 a little. No room for error here.
It's 5 in a row for G2. Looking to make it 6. Stepping forwards. It's a flash and a dart. It's going to clear the way over towards A main. Drone. Making it feel like they're trying to go a bit of an A exec, and it's pulling players away from them, and it is essentially looking like a bang. With a bit of spam, making sure to lock down that spot in a position. It's just the one choke point to worry about. There's that late lurk from Leaf, which could be a bit of a problem, but now SEN are using a drone, just trying to clear this one out, and they just see Leaf, so they know exactly what's going to be occurring. Potential to catch these players. Valen's just spraying down, committing into the rifle play. Jonah P hard committing. He's going to be stepping up onto the site now. Wincon's needed for G2 here. Sees at the feed. It's going to be locking it down on top of it. There's going to be smokes in the face. A Cosmic Divide. Pure chaos. And not a lot to play with. Trent still sticking. Nothing from Sentinels to push this one back, but they're happy to wait it out. Zekken, he's got a dimensional drift for this retake. He's going to be joining his team momentarily as soon as this Cosmic Divide dissipates.
This is going to be a late retake attempt because Zekken was so far away.
Time to turn up the tempo. Jonah P, did he make a sound cue here? He has to be potentially that knife in the back, but no. Reveals it early, just gets the one before the trade comes through. Leaf watching up and over the angle. Flash is not doing too much at all. Zekken, Shorty knocks him down. 4 bullets left. Unbelievable!
Superstar performance from Zekken. Hits the Red Bull clutch in a spot that you should never see somebody win. They had to wait for him to go all the way, marching from B to A, rips the dimensional drift and somehow takes it. What was this? He used 3 different weapons for the 3 different kills. But the shot on Leaf is spectacular. It's a pre-fire, anticipating that peek through.
Here.
What a hero. What a hero when SEN needed it. They would have been out of the game.
Truly. They truly would have. Let's put the op into Zekken's hands. Adds a bit of extra bite to the defense. Got to deal with that util though. That's going to be spotting it out. Flash up and over the top. Jorgamo, do you dare step over this? Sees, don't think that connected. Does not indeed. He's going to be spamming around to the corners, into the common positions in case there are some Sentinel players lurking around. John with the reclear now, getting the drone in, but this pace.
Zekken fighting Trent over towards A main.
Yeah, fluidity from Sentinels, trying to make a go of it. Just barely a shoulder to the jiggle. But a shot missed, nevertheless. Thorns at the feet of the G2 players. They're just going for a bit of a peek.
Bold, very bold.
Leaves it to the 4v4.
No util, no double swing. Is Zelsis going to go for a jump up here?
40 seconds left. Zelsis could be that playmaker, tucked to the corner into this spot.
He's in a tough position because they've given up the whole of B-Link.
The wall's going to give him a gap to play in, though. If they trigger this, put it up, and it's going towards his site. Starts it down, dodges the flash. Shocks are flying forwards, but the Thorn's still dead anyway. That dart is inside the smoke. They are unaware of this, and here's that corner! And the collapse from Sentinels. Put him in the vice grip. Jorgamo left to do a lot from this spot. It's only 9 seconds remaining. The tap, but it's discipline now in from SEN, and they realize that they've won it. That was just bang securing the round.
There was a couple milliseconds there, honestly, where Jorg might have been able to get the spike down, but chooses to play for the attack side op instead. 11-8. G2 take a tactical timeout here. And SEN, they've got themselves back into it. It was looking absolutely dire, but with 2 big rounds. I mean, especially from Zekken, the one prior that we watched, the 1v3. They've managed to cut the gap. In that round as well, so one of the big adjustments coming out of the tactical timeout that Kaplan took, going into round 17, was that they wanted Zekken to fight for extremities more. They had 2 rounds where Zekken pushed up deep on B and had to teleport away to halls. And in this last one, Zekken was part of like the skirmish, let's say, over towards Art, and then went on a re-clear to try to fight Trent. And that means it's not so much that people are dying in A main for G2, but G2 are not controlling A main at any point, and that makes A splits really difficult. It almost takes them off the table. Good luck running an A split if you know, if you're going to be running into Zekken in that area. So that's one of the things that I think Josh RT will be assessing. Is it worth it to be trying to invest more resources over towards A, or should we just assume that SEN are leaving B quite weak and start trying to find Zelsis?
There's a lot to think about. G2 trying to play this attack now. As you mentioned, just trying to piece together a way to work around what Zekken has been doing as his adjustments himself. He's still got the operator in hand. He's probably not going to be meeting too many players, but you never know. Bit of presence from mid, but for G2 here and now, it's drone sent out, flying forwards towards B. The goal might be to try and spot the operator. Does clear it out close.
This to me looks like they're going to try to push back Zekken if he is over towards B, and then go for an A re-clear. I don't know if we're going to see them go straight into a B split though, perhaps. Malin and Jonah are drifting back towards the middle of the map. But it's a B-leaning default anyway, whereas usually they've been going towards Art or B-Link.
Yeah.
So Josh has adjusted something, and yeah, it is going to be that late round, mid-round kind of re-clear towards A main. And I think they'll be expecting to meet Zekken here. It would be most standard, but Narrate's just given away that it's the Fade covering this spot now.
He just needed a mid-round info with that Prowler.
He can't fight it as well as Zekken would be able to. Fade doesn't have the ability to teleport out.
Looks like he's still going to square up, though. Just jiggling. A few bullets laid off, and he does have the knife full as well to try and help him out. Decay kicking in, but not enough to stop those bullets. Trent, full speed ahead. Now he's getting a move on. A quick tap, seeing if there is that response in terms of the util, and with the smokes in the face of Zekken. Can't quite make a play. Holding down some of this ground. It's critical for the SEN retake occurring here, and for G2, they're looking to take it one step further. They've lurked their way all the way through, in through the back. There's a slight gap into the window, but it's been watched for. Shorties! My God, just finding the cranium, and Jorgmo just backs himself in through main. The 2v4 in the blink of an eye with a Hunter's Fury at that. Tail end of it, getting that damage, flash through into the smoke. There's no respite. It's 12 rounds out for G2, and 4 chances for SEN to try and claim OT.
Lovely value coming out of the back of the tactical timeout from Josh RT. I really like that B-leaning default into the A-main re-clear. Don't quite understand what Narrate was thinking, holding his space there. Throwing out the Nightfall is fine, but you got to play behind cover and wait for your teammates to play in. He just tried the wide swing.
It's okay.
G2 slow, controlled, getting their heads back into the game, making sure they prioritize those fundamentals. And now they're on that point.
This is where it's going to get just the utmost difficulty for Sentinels to try and hold this one back. Dimensional Drift, Jorgmo is going to grab that information once more. He's going to be using it to see if he can set the path and clear the way. They know the wall's not quite there. Jorgmo knives out, just trying to bait that fight out. Still Jorgmo, how is he getting the one before the trade comes through? Shorty's out, and the players are just flooded their way back in. This is desperation from Sentinels, but is it going to be enough? Not quite. G2, they even up that scoreline. It's 1-1 in the maps. And Valen just testing the crowd, arms up in the sky. Got a long way yet to go with his best of 5.
In theory, Sentinels map pick, but in a series like this where G2 had double map elimination, not sure how much you can really play into that fact. G2, though, look like they're back in terms of that team coordination and confidence in terms of the plays that they're taking too. Was it the cleanest map we've ever seen from them? Not necessarily, but it's a good bounce back based on what we saw on Split. 1-to-1 in anybody's game, I'm inclined to agree with Masayoshi. We've got a hell of a BO5.
We absolutely do. Being treated here between these two teams as well. Massive step up. Revenge on the cards. A title potentially for G2. They're desperate to earn that themselves. Hell of a way to go yet until we get to that point still. It's Abyss up. Coming up next for map number 3. Don't go anywhere.
So I've got a bunch of different mice.
When you find the one, you know it's the one.
저는 이게 제일 좋은 것 같아요.
Look at this. Isn't this perfect?
누가 만들었는지 알려주는 것도 같이 들어있고.
This mouse is ready for a fashion show.
It's Pulsar by me.
It's by me.
It's Pulsar by you.
Red Bull gives you wings.